Hey everyone, welcome. So today we're going to dive into something really profound. One of humanity's oldest, and I mean oldest, roadmaps for life. It's called the Noble Eightfold Path. And what's so cool about it is that it's not really about blind faith. It's more like a practical, step-by-step guide for dealing with, well, with life, and finding a real way to end our own suffering.
Okay, so to get our heads around this, let's not start way up in the clouds with some complex philosophy. No, we're going to start with something super real, something every single one of us has felt.
You know that feeling, right? That little nagging sense that something's just not quite right. It's like this low-level background noise of dissatisfaction. Even when things are going great, there's this subtle feeling that it won't last, like the ground isn't totally solid beneath your feet. And honestly, for a lot of people, that's the exact feeling that kicks off the whole spiritual journey.
Well, the Buddha, he pointed right at that feeling and said, that is the fundamental problem. And he gave it a name, dukkha. Now, you'll often hear it translated as just suffering, but that's kind of selling it short. It's deeper than that. It's this pervasive, underlying feeling of unsatisfactoriness that just seems to be part of the deal of being human.
And this dukkha thing, man, it pops up everywhere. You've got the big, obvious stuff, right? Sickness, getting old, losing someone you love. But then there's all the subtle stuff. The irritation of being stuck in traffic, the disappointment when you don't get what you want. Even the good things. Think about it. That amazing vacation has to end, and that little pang of sadness when it's over? Yep, that's dukkha too. It's this built-in impermanence of everything.
Okay, so if dukkha is the diagnosis, the problem, then what's the cause? I mean, where does all this stuff actually come from? And the answer is probably not what you'd expect.
This is where the whole game changes. The Buddha said, stop looking out there. It's not about trying to control the world, because the world is always going to be messy and unpredictable. Nope. The real source of all this dissatisfaction, and the key to solving it, is right inside our own heads.
And when we look inside, he said we'd find three main culprits, three defilements that are basically running the show. First, there's greed, or lobha in Pali. This is that constant, I want, I need, I gotta have it voice. Then there's its opposite, aversion, or dosa. This is the get it away from me, I hate this reaction. And finally, holding it all together is delusion, or moha. Think of it like a mental fog, just a fundamental misunderstanding of how things work, which keeps us stuck.
But wait, what's the root cause of those three? Where do greed and aversion and delusion come from? Well, they all spring from one single source, ignorance. The Pali word is avijja. It's not about being stupid. It's a deep, fundamental blindness to the true nature of reality. And it's this blindness that fuels everything else and keeps us running on that hamster wheel of suffering.
All right, so let's recap. The problem is dukkha. The cause is ignorance. So, what's the cure? What's the prescription for this condition? How do we get out of this mess?
And this is where things get really practical and, frankly, super empowering. The solution isn't a dogma, it's not a list of things you just have to believe. It's a path. It's a set of things to do, a training program for your mind. And that path is the Noble Eightfold Path.
It's also called the middle way, and for a really good reason. It skillfully steers clear of two dead-end streets that people get stuck in all the time. On one side, you've got the extreme of just indulging every single desire, chasing pleasure after pleasure. That never works. On the other side, you've got this extreme of harsh self-punishment, thinking you can beat suffering out of yourself. That doesn't work either. The path is the smart way, right down the middle.
Okay, so 8 folds, or 8 parts to this path. That might sound a little overwhelming, but don't worry, it's actually organized in this really brilliant way. It all breaks down into 3 simple, progressive stages of training. It makes the whole thing so much easier to get.
So here's how it's laid out. It's like building a house. First, you need a solid foundation, right? That's moral discipline, or sila. This is all about how we act in the world, our speech, our actions, how we make a living. Once that's solid, you can start building the walls, which is concentration, or samadhi. This is the mental training part, developing focus, mindfulness, and effort. And then, with a stable life and a focused mind, you can put the roof on, wisdom, or panya. This is the insight, the clear seeing that just slices right through that ignorance we talked about.
See how logical that is? It just makes sense. It's pretty hard to quiet your mind and concentrate if your life is a total mess because of your actions, right? And it's basically impossible to gain any deep wisdom if your mind is jumping all over the place. Each step perfectly sets the stage for the next one. It's a complete system.
So this all sounds great in theory, but the million-dollar question is, how do we actually do it? How do we take this amazing map and start walking the path in our real everyday lives?
And this quote from the Dhammapada really hits it home. You yourselves must strive. The Buddhas are only teachers. I mean, how powerful is that? It's saying, look, here's the map, here's the guide, but nobody else can walk the path for you. It's on us. We have to do the work ourselves.
And this just drives that point home even further. It's all about the practice. It's about what you do with this information, day in and day out. It's that consistent, moment-to-moment effort that slowly starts to loosen the grip of our old habits and finally leads to that freedom we're all looking for.
So, to bring this all right back to you, right now, let's end with a question. The whole path, this entire journey, it really begins in the mind. It starts with a single thought. So, just for a second, look at your own mind. What's one little thought of, say, annoyance, or wanting something, or judging someone? What's one thought you could just choose to change right now? Because that, right there, is the first step on the path.